How to keep your vibration high on difficult days. Everyone talks about having a high vibrational frequency as if that meant living with a smile on your face all the time, having a perfect life, no conflicts, no anger, and no bad days. But let's be honest, that doesn't exist. Difficult days show up even when you take care of your energy, your health, your habits, and your mindset. The difference is not in what happens, but in how your awareness responds to what happens. Keeping your vibration high is not about denying emotions. It is about self-control, conscious emotional responses, and making better choices even when life feels heavy. This is where patience, self-responsibility, and the way you talk to your own inner voice come in. Because at the end of the day, what determines whether you fall into scarcity or stay aligned with abundance is how you deal with pressure in the moment. This content is an invitation to look at difficult days with more clarity, focus, and discipline, understanding that every challenge carries learning, purpose, and an opportunity to adjust your vibration. Here, you will realize that raising your energy is not about escaping the world. It is about learning how to respond to it better with more awareness, persistence, and trust that there is always a next level available for those who choose to grow. Vibrational frequency is not about having a perfect life. There's a very romanticized idea that a high vibrational frequency means a life without problems, without anger, without frustration, and without chaotic days. But reality is different. Vibration is not about perfection. It is about awareness. It is about understanding that real life includes challenges, and that those challenges do not cancel your energy as long as you know how to deal with them. When you believe that you can only vibrate high when everything is going well, you enter a dangerous cycle of emotional scarcity. Any unexpected situation becomes a trigger for loss of control, exaggerated emotional reactions, and self-criticism. Your vibration drops not because of what happened, but because of the story your inner voice starts telling in that moment. Maintaining a healthy vibrational frequency means accepting that imperfection is part of learning. It means taking responsibility for your choices, even when things don't go as planned. This mindset removes the weight of guilt, strengthens self-control, and prepares the ground for the next understanding. Bad days are not failure, they are part of the process. Bad days happen even when you vibrate high. Even when you take care of your energy, your health, your habits, and your mindset, bad days still happen. A high vibration is not a magical shield against problems. It works more like an emotional shock absorber. The impact comes, but you don't fall apart. Understanding this prevents frustration and that feeling of him doing everything right, and it still went wrong. When a difficult day shows up, many people think they lost control or lowered their vibration. In reality, what dropped was the unrealistic expectation that everything would always flow smoothly. Vibration is not constant comfort. It is constant presence. It is noticing anger, exhaustion, or irritation without letting them take over. Accepting that bad days are part of the journey strengthens patience and self-control. You stop fighting reality and start using each situation as a learning experience. This more conscious perspective completely changes your emotional reaction and prepares you to understand something even more important. The focus is not on what happened, but on how you respond to it. What matters is the reaction, not the event. Life is an expert at throwing situations off script: traffic, delays, conflicts, sharp words. The event itself is almost never under your control. What truly defines your vibrational frequency is the emotional reaction you choose in response. This is where awareness and self-control come into play. Two people can experience the exact same situation and walk away with completely different vibrations. One reacts with anger, impulsiveness, and loss of control, draining their own energy. The other breathes, observes, and chooses to respond more calmly, preserving their emotional health. The difference is not luck. It is practice. When you understand that reaction is a choice, you take responsibility for your inner state. This small mental shift changes habits, strengthens your inner voice, and creates space for more intelligent responses. And it is exactly this conscious pause that opens the path to developing emotional self-control in daily life. Emotional self-control as a daily practice. Emotional self-control is not something you are born with. It is built day by day in small situations that test your patience. It is in the rude email, the long line, the difficult conversation that you train your awareness. Every time you choose not to react impulsively, your vibrational frequency becomes stronger. Many people think self-control means suppressing emotions, but it is actually the opposite. It means allowing yourself to feel without letting anger or fear take the wheel. A simple exercise is naming what you're feeling. I'm irritated. I'm frustrated. Just doing this already reduces the intensity of the emotional reaction. Creating this daily habit requires discipline and focus, but the results appear quickly. Your energy becomes more stable, your choices clearer, and your emotional health improves. And the more you practice, the more you realize that even intense emotions like anger can turn into learning when properly directed. Anger as a tool for learning. Anger is usually seen as the villain, something that must be eliminated at all costs. But in practice, it is a powerful signal of awareness. Anger shows where your boundaries were crossed, where something needs to be reviewed, adjusted, or communicated. Ignoring it means wasting valuable learning. When you explode, energy is lost and your vibration drops sharply. But when you observe anger without judgment, it becomes information. Simple questions help a lot. Why did this affect me so deeply? What is this situation trying to teach me? This type of reflection strengthens self-responsibility and completely changes your emotional reaction. Using anger as a tool requires patience and self-control, but it brings incredible clarity. You begin to understand patterns, habits, and internal triggers. Gradually, your inner voice stops accusing and starts guiding, preparing you to deal better with difficult people in everyday life. Developing patience when dealing with difficult people. Living with difficult people is one of the biggest tests of vibration, energy, and self-control. No one chooses a difficult boss, a critical relative, or a pessimistic coworker, but everyone can choose how to respond. In this context, patience stops being an abstract virtue and becomes a practical survival tool. Patience is not about accepting everything in silence or erasing yourself. It is about understanding that other people's behavior says more about their mindset than about you. When this awareness comes in, the emotional reaction changes. You stop taking everything personally and protect your vibrational frequency. Training patience in daily interactions strengthens healthy inner habits. Your energy becomes less reactive, your mental health improves, and your choices become more conscious. This process creates space for something essential. Learning to pause, breathe, and observe before any automatic response. Breathing, stepping away, and observing before reacting. Between stimulus and response, there's a small, almost invisible space, but is extremely powerful. Taking a deep breath, stepping away for a few minutes, and observing what is happening inside you changes everything. This simple pause already reduces emotional reaction and prevents anger from taking control of the situation. When you step away, energy begins to reorganize. Your vibration stabilizes, your mind clears, and awareness returns to the driver's seat. Sometimes going outside for fresh air, drinking water, or taking a short walk is enough for the emotion to settle and for impulsive decisions to be avoided. Creating this habit requires discipline, but becomes a true ally on difficult days. You start acting by choice, not by loss of control. And the more you practice this conscious pause, the more you notice the difference between reacting in the heat of the moment and responding with intention, something that completely changes the results in your relationships. The difference between acting by choice and acting by loss of control. Acting by choice means consciously deciding what to do, even while feeling emotion. Acting by loss of control means letting emotion decide for you. This difference may seem subtle, but it completely transforms your vibrational frequency, your energy, and the results you create in life. In loss of control, emotional reactions come loaded with anger, impulsiveness, and words that later weigh heavily on your conscience. Your vibration drops, emotional health suffers, and guilt appears. When you act by choice, there's focus, self-responsibility, and much greater clarity about the consequences of your actions. Training this distinction daily strengthens your mindset and your inner voice. You start asking yourself, is what I'm about to do a choice or an impulse? This simple question creates space for more mature responses and prepares the ground for something essential. Learning to give emotions time to settle before any important conversation. The importance of letting emotions settle before talking. Talking at the peak of emotion almost always goes wrong. The mind is still dominated by emotional reaction. Energy is unstable, and low vibration distorts everything that is said. Giving emotions time to settle is not avoiding the problem. It is taking care of awareness before facing it. When you wait, even if it is a few hours or a full day, something shifts internally. Anger loses strength, patience appears, and your inner voice becomes clearer. In this state, your words come out with more focus, less accusation, and a much higher chance of creating understanding instead of conflict. Creating this habit protects your relationships, your emotional health, and your own energy. You learn that timing is just as important as intention. And the more you practice this conscious pause, the more you realize that vibrating high is not about avoiding difficult conversations. It is about knowing how and when to have them. Vibrating high is about responding better, not escaping the world. Many people confuse high vibration with isolation, as if avoiding conflicts, people, and responsibilities were necessary to keep energy clean. But vibrating high is not about disappearing from the world. It is about learning how to respond better to it. Escaping may feel like relief in the short term, but in the long term it becomes a habit of avoidance. Awareness notices this, and vibration quietly drops. When you stay present, respond with self-control, and make more conscious choices, your energy strengthens and your mindset matures. Responding better means acting with clarity, even under pressure. It means maintaining focus, discipline, and self-responsibility, understanding that growth happens through real-life contact. This position opens space for the next level of care. Understanding how your body and environment directly influence your vibration. Taking care of your body and your environment. You cannot talk about vibrational frequency while ignoring the body and the environment you live in. Emotion, energy, and health are deeply connected. When the physical body is neglected, emotional reactions intensify, patience decreases, and self-control becomes a daily struggle. Poor sleep, careless eating, and chaotic environments create constant noise in awareness. Vibration slowly drops, almost unnoticed, and the inner voice becomes more critical and pessimistic. Taking care of your body is not vanity. It is an emotional and mental strategy. Small adjustments already make a difference organizing your space, opening windows, paying attention to how your environment smells, drinking more water, and respecting your need for rest. These simple habits raise energy, support better choices, and prepare the ground for even more specific practices like improving sleep quality. Sleeping well. Sleeping well is one of the most ignored pillars when talking about vibration, energy, and emotional self-control. A poorly slept night disrupts awareness, reduces patience, and intensifies emotional reactions. This is not a lack of willpower. It is the body asking for balance. When sleep is regulated, the mind works better, the inner voice becomes less critical, and choices become more conscious. Vibrational frequency naturally rises because the entire system comes into harmony. Creating a simple bedtime ritual already helps a lot. Lower the lights, put the phone away earlier, and slow down your rhythm. Sleeping well is not a luxury. It is discipline and self-responsibility for your own health. Adjusting schedules, respecting fatigue, and understanding that rest is also productivity completely changes how you face the challenges of the next day. And when the body is aligned, it becomes much easier to care about what you put into it. Transforming anger, scarcity, and fear. Anger, fear, and feelings of scarcity are not signs of weakness. They are messages. They appear when something inside needs adjustment, attention, or a mindset shift. The problem is not feeling them, it is staying trapped in them without awareness, allowing them to dictate your choices and drain your energy. Transformation begins with observation. When anger arises, instead of reacting, ask what it is trying to protect. When fear appears, question whether it is real or just a projection of the inner voice. Scarcity usually comes from focusing on what is missing, not on what already exists. Changing this perspective immediately alters your vibration. This process requires patience and daily persistence. Over time, you learn to use these emotions as fuel for growth, not as emotional prisons. Energy that was once scattered reorganizes itself. Awareness expands, and space opens for a simple but powerful practice: gratitude as a daily habit. Practicing gratitude. Gratitude is not pretending everything is fine when it isn't. It is training awareness to see beyond the immediate problem. When you practice gratitude, energy shifts direction. It moves away from scarcity and begins to vibrate in abundance. Even on difficult days, there is always something holding you. A simple practice is writing down every day 3 things you're grateful for. They can be small: a warm coffee, a good conversation, a moment of silence. This habit re-educates the mind, strengthens the inner voice, and drastically reduces automatic emotional reactions based on anger or frustration. Over time, gratitude becomes a mental state, not just an exercise. Vibration stabilizes, focus improves, and patience increases. You begin to realize that the more you recognize what you already have, the more prepared you become to trust the flow of life and direct your attention to what truly matters. Keeping your vibration high on difficult days is not about controlling life. It is about learning how to conduct yourself within it. Along this path, you realize that self-control, awareness, habits, and mindset are not isolated concepts. They are daily choices that shape your energy, your emotional health, and the way you respond to the world. Every small decision: breathing before responding, taking care of your body, adjusting your environment, changing your inner dialogue, builds a more stable and conscious vibration. Now, it is worth asking yourself honestly, how have you been responding to challenges? Are your choices aligned with scarcity or abundance? What is draining your energy today, and what can you begin adjusting this week? Not to become perfect, but to live with more lightness, focus, purpose, and persistence. If this content resonated with you, the next step is simple. Put one of these practices into action today. And if you want to keep deepening this process of awareness, mindset, and personal growth, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next videos. They might be exactly the adjustment you need at the right moment.